Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Welcome. Thank you for bringing me here.
All right, let me start with you, Ayobami. I mean, just the question on the lips of many residents, not just even in Lagos right now, but across Nigeria. Why has rent suddenly gone up?
Okay, thank you very much, Dapo. It is no news that everything in Nigeria has skyrocketed in the last few years. The economic realities had a downplay on everything eventually. So properties are being increased on a daily basis. Landlords want to make good income from their properties and also do something tangible with it. So I guess it's no news that things will actually find increase in all sectors, not even just the housing sector, also other part as well.
Okay, let me leave you and bring it to the studio and ask Matthew. Matthew, the same question to you. Why has rent gone up?
Like you rightly said, inflation has changed everything.
Inflation.
What you reap is what you sow. Everything has increased exponentially. You buy rice, cost of rice will definitely spill to the landlord. The same landlord will pay school fees for his kids. The same landlord will buy cars, will buy tires, will buy different things. So you don't expect every other person to increase their own cost of businesses, and at the same time, he won't be able to increase cost of his own house. So that is really the reason. Since the fuel scarcity, since the fuel increments started in 2023, there has been a very huge rise. You can't compare the price of houses in 2023 for rent till now.
But I mean, even if it will go up, at what percentage? Let me be very practical here. Yeah. So I mean, from 2023 that you mentioned, till now, there are some people that maybe their annual rent used to be maybe 500K. And we are talking about, in some areas, you could get a 2-bedroom apartment, in this Lagos, prime areas, for that price. And then all of a sudden, they are made to pay 1.5, some as high as 2 million, some even as high as 3 million. So looking at this percentage, we are talking of over 100%, in some cases 200%, in some cases 300%. Does that justify the inflation excuse many property owners are given? I'll stay with you, Matthew, before I ask Ayobami's opinion.
Thank you very much. To buy a land in Lagos now, how much was it 2 years ago? To buy cement, how much was it 2 years ago? To buy sand, how much was it 2 years ago? To buy roofing sheets, how much it was?
But is that enough?
That is more than enough. Because the cost, who is going to bear the cost? I spent more, let's assume I'm a landlord now. I've bought a land, 80 million naira. How do you expect me to justify my profit margin? It's a business, whether you're selling rice, whether you're selling tires. It's a business. I've rented the house to you for you to pay me income. And at the end of the day, I'm charging you a certain amount of money, and you're not paying that money to me. Then you're not worth my business anymore. So it's a business. If I decide to take a loan from a bank to build that house or buy a house at 150 million naira, and the bank is charging me 27% to actually repay that loan, how many years will it take me for me to be charging you 4 million naira per year for me to recoup my profit? Am I Pope Francis? I'm not now. So it's a business. So if somebody can charge me extra money for Ogufe rice, I have to extra add my own money for my property. It's my investment. Lagos State will still collect money from me, COVO, governor's consent, land use charge, environmental, and the bills are piling up. By the time I pile all these bills, who is going to pay for it?
Like how many certifications, for instance, to build a property? How many certifications do you need from the government?
You can't count because they keep coming from different angles. Apart from
you can't say you can't count.
Do you know why I say you can't count? Apart from getting the normal one that you're supposed to have on the property, the legal title, whether it's a COVO or governor's consent, you have to get building plan approval. Environmental will come. Last CABA will come. Another department will come from somewhere and say, oh, you have to pay for these electrical parts. Another department will come and say, oh, for putting sand on the road, you have to. So at the end of the day, a builder or developer is overwhelmed with all these costs coming from different places. Put gutter here, he's the one that will provide for like this. By the time he does his calculation and looks at it, he's like, okay, I've spent almost 150 million to put this structure here. How much am I going to rent it? It was 1 million before. I have to put it to 3 million. Then somebody will say, oh, please bring it back at 1 million. Where is he going to recoup the loss? So the bottom line, it boils down to the government. And most especially, when I heard most of them in the Lagos House complaining that, oh, they want to start this rent control situation. And I laughed. I looked at all of them. Almost all of them, they have houses in Lagos. Has one of them raised his hand up to say, I'm going to reduce my own rent. Charity begins at home.
Anyway, we'll get to legislation on that. But I would like to bring Ayobami into this. Looking at the percentage at which many of these landowners and landlords charge now compared to what it was a year ago, 2 years ago, it looks like it's even an annual occurrence now. Does that justify that excuse of, oh, it's the cost of building, the cost of production, the inflation rate, that's why we are charging this high now?
Okay, thank you very much, Dapo. As a matter of fact, there is no justification for outrageous increase in rent. Somebody can be paying 1 million and suddenly you're increasing your rent to 3 million, 4 million, and you find a justification for that. In fact, the law frowns against outrageous increase. And let me bring to your notice, last week, we had a client, a landlord increased our rent from 1 million to 3.5 million naira. And we wrote a letter to the landlord stating why that rent can be increased to 3.5. That's over 150%. And the next day, the landlord's lawyer sent a quit notice to the tenant for no reason. So we are not denying the fact that there are harsh economic realities, but there should be a level to which increase should be given to these tenants. Salaries are not being increased daily. Things are expensive daily and are increasing 100%, 200%, 300%. It's not justiciable in any manner we want to think about it. Someone has built his house 10 years ago. All of a sudden, you're telling us the price of cement is 14,000. The price of stone is 20,000. The house you've built for 14 years ago. If you've just built the house, I could agree. Yes, you need to make certain returns, but not existing houses that have been there for a while. So, what is reasonable within the confines of the law? 20%, 30% within a short period. But then
okay, so by law, just for clarity, because we'll get into what exactly the tenement law says. So by law, is there a window gap? Is there a percentage, if at all?
So the law is silent about the percentage. The law just uses the framework of outrageous amount. So what the law will consider is the market value in that environment. So for example, Lekki goes for, let's say 2-bedroom Lekki goes for average of 8 to 10 million naira. If I'm paying 5 million naira last year and increase to 13 million naira this year, automatically that is outrageous. But then most landlords will just keep quiet until your rent expires and just hit you with a quick notice the next morning. So the reality we have here is there's a need to increase rent, but then such increase must be reasonable. Such increase must not be outrageous.
All right.
But then as regards percentage, the law is silent.
Silent.
As regards yearly increase of rent, the tenancy law is silent.
So the landlord can choose to increase it at any time.
Good. Sometimes some landlords increase every year, 30% every year. And because of the housing deficit we have, they'll tell you, if you're not interested, back out.
All right.
In Lagos, it will take you an average of 3 to 6 months to even find a new property. So these people are left without no option than to renew. Next year again, renew. So I think the law needs to be reviewed.
So there needs to be some sort of political intervention to this. I'll come back to you, Ayobami, but New Central decided to go to the streets to ask some residents in Lagos what they know about the tenancy law. And this was part of what we found out. Okay, once we, of course, have that footage, we'll definitely bring it up. But let me stay with you. Okay, I understand we have the footage now. Take a listen.
Well, I'm a tenant, so I don't really know about the Lagos tenancy law, whatever. But one thing I know is that in Lagos, the houses are extremely expensive. I can give you one example now. In my street, at Okera here, precisely at what they call it, at the back of Ottah, the house, can you imagine 2-bedroom flats total package about 4,10,000. 4,10,000 naira. That is crazy. It's crazy. So we want government to just do something about this thing. And the reason why this thing is like this is because of all these agents. They are the one causing the problem. Not only them, even the landlord. They're adding their home too. And it's too much. What they want to do, they should allow people to know our rights as a tenant. Because like my house now, something happened in my house, my bedroom broke, the tie is there. God just saved my son that I'm talking of last week. The ties on the floor broke. My son, he was having his bath. I went to go and tell my landlord, see what happened. He said I should go and fix it. It's not a minor, it's a major something. But at the end of the day, I was one that fixed something. They just gave me only the ties to put it. I spent almost 40K to fix it. It's not nice. And it just increased my rent. It's a room and a parlor self. Now it's 400,000. So it's crazy. I don't know. It's crazy. Government should just help us.
To start with, the tenancy law is as good as not even being implemented. So because when it comes to, you call something a law that is to the tenant. Do the tenants even know that this law exists? Do the landlords themselves know that this law exists? So you see, it is, let me just say, a circle of ignorance. So the law is just there. The people that are to benefit from the law, they don't even know it exists. The people that are even to see to the law, they don't know. So the agent and the agents are the one just manipulating both the tenant and the landlord. Well, when it comes to tenancy, I think...
I mean, that, of course, just gives you some sort of idea as regards how much people know about the tenancy law in the country. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be talking about the activities of the middlemen in this change, talking about agents. What exactly is their role? And in where or what aspect of the law does their activity or function cover? We'll talk about that and more. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on New Central Television, and we're looking at the tenancy law and why exactly has there been a certain surge in the price of rent, particularly for residential and even commercial across many states in the country. I still have my guest with me. I'm with Matthew Ottah. He's the founder of Omonile Lawyer Property Services, and I also have, of course, with me virtually, a lawyer and also a real estate expert, Adeyemi Ayobami, is a property lawyer and a real estate expert. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Let me come to you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Let's look at the role or the activities of agents, which many house or property seekers have, in a way, pointed that they're also part of, let me use the word, the problem when it comes to the hike. I mean, you are a property lawyer and also developer yourself, Matthew. The role of agents, are they, making your work? What is their role exactly, by law? And are they making your work easier in any way?
There are two ways you can look at it. They act as middlemen. If I'm a developer now, I don't know the client. So they come in, they know people, and they connect me. It's a business. I keep on mentioning that it's a business. So the agent goes around to look for people that will probably buy the property or rent the property.
Is there a fixed percentage in terms of commission?
There's a fixed percentage, like 10%.
10%?
10%, there's a fixed percentage. There's a law that has been established, Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority, that makes it, in 2005, that makes it every agent should actually register with that commission or agency so that they can follow certain ethical rules. We know 80% of the agents don't register. 80% of them don't register.
And you still work with them?
Because why won't the developer or the landlord work with them? Because he needs somebody to work with them. A tenant now, if you tell a tenant, go to the established ones like a Jide Taiwo, go there and meet those ones. They will say, oh, the money is too much. Connect a lawyer to help you. Oh, the lawyer's fee is too much. Rather, they rather see somebody that they can manipulate. That will say, oh, show me a house. and the person will go around, a small boy or a young person go around to look for a property for me. And why a lot of people are complaining about agents, because I've worked with both tenants and landlords and agents. I've heard their own complaints. The reason why they actually make money much for people is that they don't earn much. Then somebody will now call them, oh, I'm looking for a property at Ottah. Help me and look for some. He's going to spend his own money, make his own telephone calls. And by the time the person, the tenant comes, prospective tenant comes, looks at the place, oh, I don't like it, walks away. He has spent 2,000 naira. Another person comes, oh, I don't like it, I walk away. If 10 people do that, he has expended 20,000 naira. So that's why they said, oh, they decided to pass the cost to the prospective tenants.
So they call it, is it registration fee?
It's a very stupid thing, but they are trying to protect themselves because most people don't go through the established agents. They don't go through the established the real estate surveyors or valuers to get these things because it's too expensive for them. So they rather use people they see on the road or people that, and these people, they are hustlers, they connect themselves. So, but that money they are spending for telephone, that money they are spending for transportation, who reimburses it after 10 searches? Searches?
I mean, you said by law it's 10%, but sometimes when you look at the total cost on some of this, will I call it valuation, the property, you might say annual rent, maybe 2 million naira, and then you are looking at the other charges.
That is wrong.
That comes with it, and it's almost competing with the actual price of the rent.
That is wrong because most people are scared of agents. Because they are the same agent that will say, we found one for you, and when somebody is desperate, it's no longer available. So people are always panicking when it comes to renting or buying properties. So I've seen it so many times where they say, oh, you're renting a property for maybe 2 million naira, agency fee, 500,000, lawyer fee, 150,000. And when you ask them, why is your own more? They'll say, oh, we are plenty. We are sharing the money because I'm not the owner of the property, somebody connected me with this. So that is wrong. As long as that regulatory agency is not doing his own job to weed out the fake people and other kind of agents, you will always continue to have this kind of people outside. Everybody can be an agent. Your neighbor, your bricklayer, your barber.
Because it's a very porous, very porous sector.
Very porous sector.
Okay. Let me bring Ayobami into this. Ayobami, now, from the standpoint of the law, let's look at the activities of these agents. And as a property seeker, what can I do within the ambit of the law to maintain a stance? I mean, you talked about, by law 10% commission for agents, but in reality, we actually do not see that happen. Instead, what we see most times is even many of these agents suggesting to property owners that you need to up your price and give them ideas on why a price of property needs to be, expensive. One of the reasons I've had in this Lagos is proximity. So as a property seeker, how can you be protected? What aspects of the law, is there for me to be able to say, you know what, Mr. Agent, Mr. Property Owner, this is what the law states, and I'm maintaining my stand on it?
A very good question. And in all sincerity, it's very difficult for a prospect to maintain a ground. That is, you're saying, I must engage a registered agent. Secondly, I won't pay above 10%. Because you will never see the landlord. These guys will block every access you have to discover the landlord. Let me give you an example. Last year, I had a client that wanted to let out a property. So we need to get an agent to do the display. We can do it, right? So not knowing this agent was already demanding for 2 years rent from the prospect, and also demanding 2 years agency fee from the prospect. We were not aware. So we just noticed this property was taking longer than expected. Property in a prime location, gave that at a very good rate, not knowing the agent has been demanding for 2 years rent and 2 years agency fee. If the prospect decide not to go through the agent, it will be left all alone, no property again. So they have made the work very difficult for even you to restrict yourself to be legal. Like, let me follow the law, you won't get a property.
Is that bad?
So the law forbids charging above 10%. But then you'd have searched for a property for 6 months. And finally, you've gotten one that suits your taste. and now you have to pay 12%. Some places you have to pay 30%. Now you are desperate, no option, you just have to succumb.
So is there a regulatory
I think the government can go out and enforce their law, starting from having all agents registered in Lagos State. Let's start from there. So that once they are registered and one agent is demanding above 10% or demanding excess fee, you can report such agent. But now the agent doesn't have an office, which the law provides you should have, doesn't have a company, has nothing, it just appears from nowhere telling you you pay 30%. If you refuse, how do you even report him to the government agency? So I think beyond having laws in place, there should be a good strategy to enforce such laws. That is the only way we can safeguard prospects.
There's something you said. I'm staying with you, Adeyemi. There's something you said, in the course of your analysis. You said that there are gaps that the government really needs to come in to fill. Maybe some of these clauses in the law, maybe it's outdated. There's also the issue of enforcement. But I'd like you to be more specific. What gaps are there that really needs political intervention right now, particularly on the part of property seekers? You said that the law is pretty much silent on the percentage at which a property owner can choose to increase the rent, or even the pace, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, what are these gaps that you think political intervention is needed?
Okay, so I think, like I said earlier on, strategies to enforce such laws. So we have some that are very okay. For example, agent cannot charge above 10%. So what if they charge above 10%? What should a prospect do? That place, there's a gap there. So many other times, the prospect just walks away. When a landlord charges 200% rent increase, many other times, you as a tenant is meant to go to court. You are taking your landlord to court, and after 1 month, it serves you quick notice. So you have to go to court where you're likely to spend above 3 months, 4 months, and before you know, your rent has expired, it doesn't want to renew again. Okay, the landlord increases the rent this year, next year again, I want to increase. So there should be a law that restricts a landlord from yearly increase. There should be a law against that forbids yearly increase. Okay, if you charge it, if you take this amount of rent this year until after 2 years or 3 years, that makes people plan their life. So when you have a young guy that just finished NYC, he's able to rent a 1-bedroom apartment for 1.5 million naira, probably somewhere at Songotedu, and the next year again, 2 million. Why won't the crime rate goes up? Because these guys cannot even afford the basic thing. And if I'm realistic, the government needs to do something critical about housing provision. The only way we can cripple this outrageous increase is when the government steps in and provide affordable housing. For example, if you're on average, if you receive 1 million naira rent every month, it will take you about, let's say, 20 years or 15 years to acquire a property of 30 million. So imagine the government have about 1 million naira, 1 million housing units in each local government, maybe 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom at best, and give it at a very low rate, affordable rate.
All right.
It will do more justice than this.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. I wish we had ample time to, extensively dissect this, but I'm sure we'll definitely have you back on the program. It's been a pleasure. Matthew Ottah is the founder of Omonile Lawyer Property Services, joining me in the studio. Thank you. And also Adeyemi Ayobami, property lawyer and real estate expert, joining virtually from Lagos. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.